Okay, so this is the June 2014 paper 3 version 1 spreadsheet, practice question 3 in the department shared area. So it says that the Manta Conservation Project has regional offices which collect money from research grants, donations and the sale of education packs. The project headquarters are in Brazil. You will use efficient methods to calculate and summarise the income for 1 week in a spreadsheet. So it doesn't mention anything about what type of income we're using at the moment, dollars or euros, so hopefully it will tell us that as we go through. So using a suitable software package, open up the income file, which when you open it will look like this. First thing to do is to resize your columns so we can make sure we see everything, not typing in the wrong boxes, and to also save it as an Excel workbook in your user area, so that's the top one in the list, and press save. On the left in the header, add the text week 4, and on the right in the header, add the text last edited followed by your name. So we go to insert, and then header and footer. In the left, it asked us to type in week 4, and on the right, last edited by, and then your name. Check your capital letters. There should only be one on the L. On the left in the footer, add your centre number and candidate number. So if we go to footer, on the left, centre number and candidate number, and on the right, add the text last edited on, copy that, and then add today's date, and then the text, and then the word at, and then the time. So current date at current time. If we then go to view and normal, we have to click into another cell first, and that will take us back to the normal spreadsheet view. These dots, remember, are just where you would print out where your page would end. Merge cells A1 to E1 so they become a single cell. A1 to E1. Home, merge and center. Format the text so it is white 24 sans serif. So that's white 24 sans serif means that it needs to be Calibri, and it needs a dark grey background and centre aligned. It's already centre aligned, so we'll just change it to a dark grey background, and that's that one done. Format C11 to C16 to 3 decimal places. So C11 to C16 to 3 decimal places. This is your decimal place options here. So once you press one of them, it sets them all the same. Okay, so that's 3 decimal places for each one. In cell E11, use a function to calculate the regional income from Africa for the week. Use absolute and relative references, do not use a named range. Format this cell as South African Rand to 2 decimal places. So E11, we need to find out the regional income for Africa. So this is E11. We need to find out the regional income, so we have the amounts down here. However, we obviously need to figure out which ones are related to, in this case, Africa. So we're going to use a sum if, because we want to add them up only if it meets a certain criteria. So the range that we're going to be checking for the code AF is this range here. We're going to need to absolute cell reference this by pressing F4, which puts the dollar signs in and locks it, because when we drag it down shortly, we don't want that range to move. The criteria is going to be the R code, the region code. We do want that to move, so we'll leave that as relative referencing without the dollar signs. Now the sum range is the amount, which is here. So when it finds AF, it will add on 15, it will find the next AF, it will add on 50, etc. Again, that one needs to be absolute cell reference, so press F4, close the bracket, press enter, and it adds it up to 65. Now what it's then asking you to do, it's a bit of an odd question really, but it's to format this as South African Rand to 2 decimal places. To do that, if you go to the currency option and go to more accounting formats, you get a long list of different ones, and what you've got to look for is South African Rand. They are in here somewhere. I'm not going to go through every single one on the video because you're just watching me going through a list, which is pretty useless. If you do struggle to find them, you can always just have a look on the internet in this case. Obviously you can't in the real exam, but for this one just have a look on the internet of what symbols you're looking for, etc. But once you've found it, press OK and it'll apply that formatting. Replicate this function for each region from E12 to E16. So we can drag that down because we used absolute cell referencing. So if I double click on this one, you can see that this has moved but these haven't, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. Format E12 to E16 to the correct currency format. So you've got to go through and find out all the correct symbols for these. So this one needs to be real, dollar, euro, etc. Show evidence of the creation of a named range. So we're using cells B11 to C16 and calling it rate. So B11 down to C16, click up here, type in rate and press enter, and that whenever you highlight this now it will come up as rate. Show evidence of the creation of this named range in your evidence document. Just highlight it and print screen to show that it's there. So in cell E19, use the named range that we just made to calculate the income in Brazilian real and replicate it from 20 to 39. So E19 is here. So what we essentially want in this box is we want to say equals, and then we're going to look at the AF code and we're going to times that by the amount. So that supplied the exchange rate to how much it was in African Rand. However, we want it to do it automatically, so we need to use a VLOOKUP. And the lookup value is going to be the code, press comma. The table that we're going to look for that code is here, and it's called rate because we just named it as rate, comma. The column index is column number 2 because this is the number that we want. And we want an exact match, so we'll press false. If we just leave it at that for now and press enter, you'll see that it's found AF and it's found out what the income was. So then what we need to do is times that value by the amount, press enter, and it will obviously apply that. You can then autofill that down the row so that it automatically applies it for each one. You can see that it's worked on this one because SA, South America, times it by 1, it doesn't have any impact on the value. In cell E40, calculate the total income for the week. So we've got E40 down here. We can just use the auto sum and press enter and it'll add that up. Format E19 to E40 appropriately. And what it's saying is now it's trying to check whether or not you understand what you've been doing for this entire process. So it wants you to set it as South American real. So you just need to go up into your currency thing again and find where you set it to that. And then in cells C5 to C7, calculate the total income in Brazilian real for each income type. So to do that, what we're going to need to do is have a look up at C5. So we've got the code here, and we now have the income in real, and we've got the codes down here. So again, we just need to use another sum if, and the range that we're going to be checking is the I code down the bottom. Again, lock that with F4, very similar to the one we did previously, comma. The criteria is going to be the code, which we do want to move, and the sum range is the income, which we don't want to move, so we press F4, close a bracket and press enter, and it's added them all up for D and then R and then E. Format them appropriately. Again, you've got to find the correct currency for Brazilian real. Save and print the spreadsheet showing the values. Make sure you can see everything. That is vital. There's no point doing this and then not showing it. And make sure it sits on a single portrait page. Control and P or file and print. Always just go to fit on one page. We can see the values. You might want to just double check that everything's visible, but then you just press print. It then says to print the spreadsheet in landscape, showing the formula. Make sure you can see everything and it fits on one page wide. So to do that, we'll go to Formulas and Show Formulas. You're missing stuff here. Look, if you were just print it, you would lose some marks. So click here, double click to resize everything. Control and P or File and Print. We have got it fit into one page. We just need to change it to landscape and print it out like that. It then says that we need to create and label a chart to compare the percentage of the income in real for each region. Show evidence of any calculations and values used to create the chart in your evidence document. So the percentage, let's just go back to normal view by clicking on Show Formulas and resizing everything. So these are our regions. So we're going to need to make a graph using these values here. Okay, so if we go to Insert, I've used Control to highlight those when they're separate. If we go to Insert Pie, it will put that on for us. If we want to put percentages on, I think we go to Add Chart Element, Data Label, and we could have it Center. And then if we right click on these, perhaps, I'm making this up as I go along, you can probably tell. If we format the data labels, okay, so on here we've got value, we'll take that off and put percentages on. We can't really see it here, so what we might do is if we change it to the outside and maybe also put a key on, a legend, and that should cover us. We might just need to move some of these slightly. Oh, that's quite good, it puts a little line on for you. And that showed the percentages. We haven't had to do any calculations to make that work. Okay. Show evidence of the calculation. We didn't have to do any calculations, so we don't need to do that. Place a copy of the chart in your evidence document. Just copy and paste it, and then save and print your evidence document. So as long as you can do some ifs, that one shouldn't cause you any problem.